part, it's where smaller individual artists have like tables. The artist alley for this con is in the Marriott. Thank you. I keep getting them confused. The other hotel. And we sell things like commissions or mini prints or charms, things we've made ourselves. So we're like smaller vendors, not big enough to be in the dealer's room, and we're not selling licensed merch.
So this is like how to get started if you want to take on a small vendor.
Yeah.
If you want to you can sit here.
Test one, two.
What's going on? A blog or something?
It is. Right now it's only set up to be on She and I. Because I know some people aren't necessarily comfortable with being on Okay, so this is just a heads up. I'm putting our business cards up here. These are mine. Is this box open? Yep. These are bookmarks for a Tumblr she and I run with another girl who lives on the West Coast. It's how to be a con artist. Not like taking people's money, con art. Well, we do take people's money, but we give them something of value in return. But convention artists.
Yeah, like con man, like.
No, we are not con men. And these are.
Well, I meant the show that what was it? The guy from Firefly does.
Right. Nathan Fillion. That one.
No, not Nathan Fillion. The other guy, the one that played King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph.
Alan Tudyk.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. But I think Nathan Fillion produces that show.
No. Did I get in the way? I did. That's playing. I'm going to tell you. That's what Taylor said too.
Oh, I saw this art book too. Okay.
When I think of Anime Con, I think Tuba is one of the last things.
Alright, we're sorry we're getting a late start, guys. Also, apparently
$30.
this doesn't want to.
We're getting it.
I think that is
Awesome. Hello, girls. I'm going to turn my
So do we. Many weekends.
Hey guys, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us at 10 in the morning. 10 doesn't even like normally exist to me. I'm Becca Hillburn. This is Heidi Black. If you want more of us, you can find us in the Artist Alley. Hit us up with your questions, or you can find us online. We've got our cards in a lovely line up there. Feel free to take them. If you'd like to leave your business cards with us, I'm so sorry. One of our lovely attendees already left a couple. We'll definitely check them out. It might take us a little while. Are you ready to get started, Heidi?
Yeah. We have both actually been doing conventions for probably a total of 15 years together, at least. Like if you have
That's a combined,
combined experience.
We've been doing conventions together for 5 years now.
And so we definitely ask you guys that if you have questions, feel free to ask them. We'll definitely have a question and answer session at the end. We'll try to get through this presentation decently fast so we can give you guys question time. All right, so
that's a little bit of information about me. I currently live in Nashville for the foreseeable future. I do Southern conventions, so I do conventions. I can project, okay? Conventions in Nashville, I do conventions in Alabama, and I do conventions in Louisiana, where I'm from. The majority of my, whoa, that's too loud. Yeah. The majority of my income right now comes from doing conventions, but I also see a lot from freelance. So if you have questions about which conventions are like possibly good industry conventions, I can answer that for you, possibly.
I'm Heidi. I actually live in Dayton, Ohio. We both met at SCAD, so we know each other. So I usually know a little bit more about Northern cons, but I think Southern cons are better. You guys are awesome.
FYI, Northern cons are such a hard sell.
All right. So if your guys are interested in doing artist alleys, artist alley, we actually had someone ask, so I'll explain it. It's there's usually requirements for an artist alley, and generally it is if you have made the item, or at least 50% of the item. So it's something that you can't find in the dealer's room. It's something that's not mass produced. That qualifies for artist alley. So that can include stuffed animals you make. It can include perler beads. We see a lot of those. We see a lot of people selling prop weaponry. We do a lot of posters and prints. That's generally what people think of.
Cosplay, elaborately styled wigs.
So it's pretty much anything that isn't dealer's room as long as you've made it. The tables are going to cost anywhere between $50 and $2,000. To $2,000, I'm talking like San Diego Comic.
Yeah, they're huge cons.
Yeah. I actually can't tell you offhand how much MTAC cost. Last year it was.
You know, and I can't tell you either because I paid for my badge and my table separately. It was about $120. I definitely made that back easily yesterday. MTAC is a really good con. I wouldn't necessarily recommend a con of this size if it is your very first convention. A Con is an excellent con if you want to get your feet wet.
DMX.
They do, but I have reservations about GMX as an artist.
Yeah, we went to GMX this past year, and it's a little bit different from an anime con. It was definitely more focused around gaming and like media guests rather than anime and
Voice actors and animation industry guests.
Tables, they generally say a table's going to be 6 foot by 2 foot. It's about this size.
Right.
We've had different sizes in the past where they've been like this, or they've been 8 feet wide. Or, so,
And not every con will tell you ahead of time. There's been more than a handful of cons. I went out and bought a demo table this size, and before most conventions, I set it up to figure out what I need, and then I arrive at the con, and the table's like this wide and 6 foot, and like my cages won't even fit on it. Or it's 8 feet, and I'm suddenly having to completely figure out my setup because I didn't bring enough of the mesh wire cubes.
yeah. It's usually, most of the time they're going to be in a closed room, but there's sometimes when it'll be in open hallways or in open areas. This year it's in an open area.
I think MTAC is usually in an open area. GMX is also in an open area. A Kaikon is in a closed room. Anime Kaiju was in a closed room.
And then pretty much everyone at Artist Alley sells fan art. You've all seen the prints of fan art. There are some Artist Alleys that will be like no fan art whatsoever. Most of them are going to be like a 50-50 rule, or as long as it doesn't exactly match something that's.
In general, it's really frowned upon, and it is a copyright violation to directly copy an existing show's style and do fan art in. Right. So, like, let's say I'm doing Sailor Moon fan art. If I were to draw it to look exactly like the show or exactly like the manga, that would be a copyright violation because that product already exists.
I will also tell you, if you guys ever think about doing Disney art, that is the worst idea you can have because Disney goes out of their way to change copyright laws in the U.S.
Star Wars, and it includes
It now
Marvel.
includes Marvel. You can get away with some stuff under parody, but Disney goes after people. So
You know what, though?
Hasbro.
Yeah. I've heard Hasbro polices it, but then they also have BronyCons, where like they encourage plush makers who are doing like original plushes to sell their plushes, and there's also a precedent of a popular plush maker getting hired to do patterns for Hasbro, but that's not, I would not say that is the rule by any means.
the real rule is if you ever get a cease and desist, stop immediately. Yeah. All right. So what are we going to sell at our Artist Alley? So we've generally applications for Artist Alley open up anywhere from a year to
6 months
6
ahead
months
of
ahead of time. So
and I would, if you're planning on going up to a convention as an artist, I would not wait. MTAC, for example, I heard sold out within the hour after opening up. KaiCon sold out pretty quick too this year.
it's not always true. Some shows will sell out very slowly. Some shows sell out very quickly. The ones that are usually really good tend to sell out pretty quickly.
Or have
where
a
it gets
smaller
around.
alley.
Yeah. For me, I like to also do local cons in Ohio. Those, one-day cons, they sell out. Usually they don't. So that's always nice. But I mean, I've got my convention schedule planned out through September because everything's already been up. They've like, here's our artist alley. It's time to pay now.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got your artist alley table. You're like, okay, what do I bring for this artist alley table? All right. There's a variety of things, like we were talking about plushies or swords or whatever. If you do sell like actual weaponry, you do have to go through and get like a license. That's
more of a dealer's room thing anyway. And if it's a live weapon with a live blade, they're probably not going to let you sell it at an anime con anyway. And if it's metal, they may not let you sell it at an anime con anyway because it can be sharpened into a blade. What she and I have experience with, we both do, I do kids media stuff, she does teens media stuff, so our experience tends to be very like tchotchke based. I do a lot of buttons, I do the sailor ribbon badges, I do like these big glittery sassy buttons for the Tumblr crowd, I do mini prints, I do books, a lot of books, and I also do a lot of commissions. And that's something I really want to talk frankly with you guys about. A lot of people I've heard this weekend would pass my booth and they would be like, oh, I can do that. And you can totally do that. But here's the thing, I am fast. If I'm at home and no one's talking to me and I'm not doing transactions, I can whip those commissions out in like 15 minutes. If I'm at a con, I can get them done in 45 minutes unless I'm just constantly being stopped to sell things. I'm also consistent. My commissions all look a certain way. I've developed a certain style. I promote it heavily on Tumblr. So if you want to be a commission artist who makes the majority of their money being a commission artist, there's a possibility you're going to wreck your hand. I have arthritis problems now. When it got cold this winter, I was having a lot of trouble painting. I had to buy a space heater because my room wasn't getting warm enough. But it's also very rewarding. I work from home. I don't usually see a lot of people in my line of work. So when I do cons, I get to have an immediate response from the people I'm selling to, which is very gratifying for me and I really enjoy it. So if you feel like you can consistently produce work of a certain quality quickly for a certain price point, by all means, you should come be a commission artist. There aren't very many of us. A lot of people rely on prints. A lot of people rely on using Photoshop to like fix their images, which is fine, but it's not something you can necessarily do at the convention itself. So if you have the skills, by all means, come be a commission artist with me so I don't have to wreck my hand.
Beyond commissions though, there's other things. I would say when you're selling stuff, always have stuff that is a variety of prices. That's like a huge thing. If you want something that costs
$1, $5,
$3, yeah.
Other than the $1, $2, okay, so from 1 to 5, it's fine to have dollar increments. Then you want to go, if you can, 5, 10, 15, 20, because that's what the kind of bills people are going to be giving you, so you're not spending all day making change. Something else we recommend is getting a, oh yes, I'm sorry?
This is just like a question for like when you have stuff. Would you suggest having like, say Sailor Moon, you have like a variety of Sailor Moon buttons, then it goes like Sailor Moon ribbon, Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon, or would you say like a variety of the fandoms?
I would have a variety of the fandoms. If I had my way, my table would be all shoujo all the time. Like I feel you,
Yeah.
But people like us, it's like 10 out of 100. And people who love shoujo, people who love seinen, they're very dedicated, they're really excited about it, but there's just not enough people into it for you to make a sizable amount of money doing it.
At the same time, having like one of each fandom out there, I think
that's a different problem.
Is a different problem.
So like pick a range you like. Like this is self-serving, but I only do properties and fan arts I genuinely enjoy. And something that may change from year to year. Like I recently got into Phoenix Wright. I know I'm really late. But so that means I'm going to start doing that, and I'm also into Danganronpa. And this means that that's right, the Monokuma. This means that people who like what we like, we get to have a genuine connection with them. It's not just like you do see fan artists, and you can tell when they don't care. They're just drawing what's popular, and it works for them, I guess. It doesn't work for me. And it's not the kind of relationship I want with the people I do business with.
At the same time, you can definitely kind of, I don't want to say control a niche market. That sounds terrible, but
you can develop a niche market of dedicated customers. enjoy your things and follow up with you online.
Especially-
That's fantastic.
Especially if you kind of get known for something. For some reason, I'm always getting commissions for Pokemon. I have a lot of Pokemon things. I didn't know that I liked Pokemon that much, but I guess I do. No, I do like Pokemon. But it's also like, I like Udna, and I like some of the older shows. And people look for that older show stuff.
To have a good mix of
Yeah.
what's like, and I like a lot of American stuff. So I like Bob's Burgers, I like South Park. So I get a lot of, Archer. More Venture Brothers? I'm starting to like Archer. I don't know if I'll ever do fan art for Archer necessarily. It's a lot of pinup stuff. But yeah, and by she and I separately developing our interests, we can still continue to do cons together without it completely crippling us. But if you have a friend who you're doing a con with and you guys like exactly the same things, you guys need to be as far apart in the alley as you can be, because while I don't like saying we're competing, because we're not, we're all really working together to have a great art alley that brings in more customers. You don't want to be right next to someone who's selling exactly the same thing as you.
Sometimes they actually just think you're one booth and just kind of keep going.
Yeah, it's true. We have gotten that before.
Definitely though, what you really, like the number one thing you want to have is something unique that no one else has on your table. For me, I've got like a tutorial art book. People are like, oh, how'd you do this? I'm like, look at here, I've got this art book that talks about how I do everything. And they're like, wow, that's cool. I would say like sassy buttons.
My sassy, because I am a Tumblr baby and I am an angry Tumblr person. I feel it.
Generally, give it about a year and then someone else will start doing it too.
Yeah, and I mean,
so
it hurts. Yours are better. The hurts is always the best, right? It hurts and it kind of sucks, but it keeps you from getting into a rut.
Becca talked about commissions a little bit. I'm just going to say that if you do commissions at conventions, you can make a ton of money because I'm noticing.
No, there's a ceiling.
There's a ceiling, yeah.
There's a ceiling and your hand is part of that ceiling. It is how quickly you can draw while making sales by yourself while not, like, because when I'm doing commissions, like yesterday I did commissions from 11 until 8, nonstop, and I was so hungry and so tired. And that is normal for me. I've started drinking Soylent because I need to eat. I get low blood sugar and my hand shakes and I want to pass out.
I mean, there's a lot of people anymore who won't do commission work because everyone's changed to digital. So offering up a commission is definitely a way that you can get 10, 20, 40 bucks that you wouldn't otherwise get.
Well, also, you can be into more things than you can have at your table, and doing commissions allows you to draw those things for people without having to make a bunch of merchandise for this fandom that other people may not appreciate anymore.
Right.
Like, I really like your Mika Takahashi stuff, so I would be happy to draw your Ranma 1/2, Akane and Ryoga shippy stuff, or Ranma, or Moose, whatever. Like, I'd be happy to do that, but I can't have a table full of that because, let's face it, most of the people who attend cons are 12 to 15 right now. They may not know what I'm selling.
Yeah. And I'm going to actually just let you guys read that. I'm not going to read it verbatim. But the most important thing is right, Brad, do not overbook yourself. Becca and I both had to go home last night, and we're still drawing until at least 11, if not midnight.
Part of that, though, was like, it was a 20-minute drive, and then we got lost, and then we ate dinner, and like, things take time. And it's so easy when you're at the con and you're in con mode to underestimate how long it takes to go home and drink something, like drink some water, get rehydrated, and go to the bathroom and like chill out enough that you can get back to drawing. It takes a while.
Plus, MTAC is a very busy con. I've actually been busier yesterday than I have been like in a whole weekend at other cons. So it'd be like every 2 minutes I'm putting down whatever I'm doing to do something else.
And it's, if you have an assistant, if you can bring a friend, like, okay, my mother comes with me to the conventions in the town where she lives at, and she's not the best, but she can do quick sales for me. She can sell buttons, she can sell stickers, she can sell sassy buttons for me, so I can keep drawing, which is a huge help.
Go for it.
How do you guys figure out prices? Do you base it like on materials and stuff and how much time?
Okay, here's the shameful confession. As artists, we are not just artists, we also buy from other vendors, so we know, we have an idea of what a typical price range is, and if you're looking for help with pricing, Artist Alley Network International, it's a Facebook group. You can like say, hey, I'm thinking about offering 1.5-inch buttons. What's the general going rate for that? And then make your decision based on that. Because like every con, there's somebody who it's their first con and they put so much work into this. And look, I feel you. I put a lot of work into it too. But they're charging like $5 for 1-inch buttons. And it's just like, where did you get your price from? Well, I only ordered 10 and I ordered them from somebody on Etsy, and it's like, that's why, stacking costs.
Yeah. I think we're actually going to go over prices at some point later in it. Generally, it's whatever you paid to get it made, and then add 50% onto that.
Now, just out of curiosity,
double it.
would you do a price difference for kids versus adults? Because like I commission hats, and I've made some crazy Pokemon hats. But I've had like grandmas commission me for little kids, but because, you know, they're so small, you would think that the person buying them from you, oh, they're for kids, they might be a little cheaper.
Yeah, but they're harder
Would
to
you
do
go
because they're
cheaper,
so
or
small.
because of all the detail, would you still?
I would keep the same price. And part of that is because once you start introducing too many variables, people think you're willing to haggle, and many of us don't price our items high enough to haggle. You know, we're pricing it as low as we can afford to price it and still make money and still do this and pay our bills.
Okay.
Also though, with the hats, they're smaller hats. They're harder to do. Like I've worked, like I've done cosplay for children, and it's harder to do that because they're tiny little things that you're trying to run on your machine, and you're hand sewing things you wouldn't otherwise sew.
Like I had to make a double-sided fleece minion hat, and they wanted the details and the goggle and the eye and braids at the bottom. And
I would charge them what I would charge an adult. It's the
Okay.
same. I mean, it's just,
It's the
and
same work. It
the
is.
amount of material difference is negligible anyway, I would think.
But the time you spend on it.
It's longer, exactly.
You want to make it so that you're earning essentially minimum wage for your time. Generally, we don't.
But that's our own
Yes,
fault.
but I will say I earn more doing this than I do working at GameStop. So don't ask me about GameStop. I hate GameStop.
However, with that in mind, when you're doing this, you are your own boss. You are in charge of your own promotion. And this is, I sound strict when I say this because I want you to take it seriously, not because I hate it. I'm my own boss. I have to file my taxes for my business. I have to keep on top of that stuff. I can't expect anyone else to help me out with that. I'm in charge of my own promotion. So when I'm doing a convention, I have to post it all over Tumblr, all over Instagram, all over Twitter, because no one else is going to do that for me. That's me. And I get a lot of business by doing that. So I definitely notice when I forgot. Yeah.
And if you ever get in any legal trouble, that's all on you then. I would recommend at that point, you're supposed to get like a sole proprietorship, so you separate yourself from your business, but we're not tax professionals or legal professionals.
Please do not ask us for legal or tax advice. We are not taking responsibility for misinformation. In that regard, I'll take responsibility for convention misinformation, and we're not going to be responsible for tax anything other than our taxes.
Yeah. All right. Getting stuff made. Sorry, we'll kind of get back on track. She and I, we do like home printer stuff, or like an office supply store, like a printing service online is generally what we do because we have prints. Obviously, if you're doing crafts, you have to make it all yourself, and we actually still do a lot of making making stuff ourselves because there's still a lot of assembly required for the final products. Let's see. If you look for printings, like if you're doing posters, I'm going to push Cat Print because I think they're amazing and they've always done a great job with it.
They're an online printing resource.
And
I mean, let's be honest here. There are Office Maxes and Office Depots that are phenomenal at printing, and there are Office Maxes and Office Depots where the staff does not know what they're doing, and they really shouldn't be in the print center. And it's not necessarily worth your time, their time, and your money to find that mistake out.
I've had to go to Office Depots to get stuff printed, and thankfully the one near I live is really good, but it's like I have to label each thing. Like I want 10 copies of this, I want it on 11 by 17 paper, I want it on 110 pound cardstock, it's single-sided, in color, and they still mess up. Here's making things, buttons.
This is from last year. I own my own professional grade button maker. I got talked into it we used to be part of a studio, the other girls were like, oh yeah, totally, I'll buy a large format printer and I'll buy a really expensive binding machine, and they didn't. So now I have this $300 button maker and I have to make it work for me. However, it gives me Cora arms when I use it. It's a great button maker. I highly recommend it if you're going to be serious about making and selling buttons. It's a You Make Buttons button machine, and is that in the resource master post on how to be a con artist?
I don't think so.
I can go back and add it, and I think I've reviewed it in the past. But if you're curious about it, you can totally hit me up on Tumblr or on how to be a con artist, and I can tell you about it.
Also, there's a little, it's very hard to read because I guess it's out of focus, but that's an order from Cat Prints. It costs like $1 per print, like per print, with even including the shipping with them. They're phenomenal, they're great. And that's like 11 by 17 prints, full bleed, on like nice cardstock. Actually, it's in my bag, but if you guys want, I have the Cat Print sample book with me, so it's got like a sample of their
Come
papers.
visit us in the artist alley
well,
and she'll haul it out,
yeah.
because we got to hustle back after this panel. And oh, the other picture at the bottom was us assembling books at home. I don't actually recommend it. It takes a lot of time. It's great if you're just getting started, but once you, what you're going to be paying versus what you can charge versus what people think it's worth, your profit is going to be very low on hand assembled prints unless you're doing like black and white 8.5 by 11 on standard copy paper, and then you can make an okay profit on that, selling them $1 a book. But other than that, your profit margin on hand-bound books, where they're staple bound, is so low that I don't necessarily recommend it.
Yeah, it's usually better to go through a printing service. I've heard RA Direct is good. I haven't used them.
I have a friend who's used them. He likes them. Kablam. Everybody talks about Kablam. I've had bad experiences. All my friends have had bad experiences. I don't really recommend Kablam. I'm working on a self-publishing and distribution master post. It should be out in 2 weeks. I've covered several printers.
Yeah. And then for like a big multi-page book, we've actually both used CreateSpace, and it's been pretty good to us.
I've also used Art Scout to print my another Euro watercolor book that's on my table this year, and the price point, it isn't bulk pricing. It's, I mean, I paid like $6 a book, and I'm charging $10 for it. Yeah, no, because like you're not taking into the time it's spent to assemble the book or to paint the watercolors that went into the book, or the amount of money I paid to have the table and the amount of money that square space is taking up on that table. There could be something else there that would sell better. So I might be making, if you take all that into consideration, I might be making $1 a book, which isn't great. But I mean, this is small business, this is small publishing, and this is Anime Cons.
Yeah. And then how much to bring? Obviously, if you bring 1,000 copies of something, you're not going to sell through it. I've had cons where I've sold out. I've had cons where I've sold nothing of any particular thing. It varies from con to con. You can't just be like, oh, I know this. There's some things you can be like, I know this will sell.
It also depends on how much you promote it. If you have a unique item that other people aren't carrying, you should definitely post about it online. You should maybe write a review about it. You should do everything you can to get people to look at it ahead of time, so they'll come by and be like, hey, I saw this online. I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm. But honestly, I'd always rather sell out and just like leave on Saturday than have to worry about.
That's considered rude.
Really?
Yeah. AA and I want you to sit through that con and sketch. And if a con is terrible, it's also considered rude to show the con that you think is terrible by leaving. You're supposed to sit it out. And I have mixed feelings about that.
AA is a great resource, but at the same time, it also
It's
is a
very
lot of
opinionated.
drama.
Yeah.
And so I laugh at a lot of stuff. But it's also, this is a picture of the back of my mom's CRV. We borrowed it for one weekend because there were 3 of us. What's up?
Yeah, I just, and I'm sure you all know, I just wanted to throw in there that it does depend on the con. Like, MTAC does not care if you leave early. We don't consider it rude at all. It's like, if you're sold out, you're sold out. It's less for us to do when you break down. So that is a con by con basis. I don't know if it's a regional thing. I don't know what AWA or any of the surrounding cons think, but
I wasn't even going by whether or not cons think it's rude.
I think it's like an artist allocation.
From an artist point of view, if I'm next to an artist that's empty, people are not necessarily gonna, like, if let's say I'm at the end of the row and the table next to me leaves on Saturday.
Yeah.
right? People are not going to make it down to me because there's a gap in the row, and we've lost their attention.
Okay.
So like, it's honestly better for certain artists if you like just sit there and offer commissions.
Okay.
Like I would never ever approach another artist about that and get angry at them because I understand, and if you're out of state and you want to head home, like I totally understand that, but it does create gaps in the alley and that does cause problems for other artists.
Yeah. And then I had my mom's CRB. We packed it pretty full.
Only 2 of us were artists. The other was our assistant.
But we were heading all the way down to New Orleans. So.
Oh, that's right. That's from MechaCon.
And then you always want to, it's a hard balance between too much and too little because there is a fear of, if I don't bring enough, I won't break even, I won't have enough stuff to sell. But it's also if you only have like 3 things on your, 3 different kinds of things on your table.
But the thing about, you could get away with having 3 different things on your table if your table is artfully and engagingly set up. If you want to see an overloaded table this year, my table is overloaded. And that's because I introduced a bunch of new items and I'm still figuring out how they fit in to everything else.
Bringing a lot of different variety things can appeal to more people, but
it
at
can
some
also,
point,
this year, a lot of people said, so what exactly are you selling? And
Yeah.
I'm always caught unaware because like I consider myself a comic artist. I do children's watercolor comics. Like that's what I do. But my artist alley table, while I have examples of that, is not about that at all because it's the wrong demographic for that.
So you want to keep a little bit of focus or people are just going to be like distracted, all these shiny
Yeah, and then
things.
never buy anything. And encourage people,
Oh, just finish your thought. And
I was gonna say encourage people to pick things up and look at it. I'm a tactile shopper. Apparently, this blows my mind. Apparently, there are artists who don't want people picking up the things on their table. Like, how do you expect to sell if you're not letting people touch what you want them to buy?
Break it.
And I understand that fear. Most of the stuff I've had people break stuff on my table, and it's usually not their fault. It's usually cold weather, weakened the glue that was holding it together. That's my bad. But like I have these little charms on my table now that have tiny little legs, and the legs are they're not weak, but if you apply pressure, of course they're going to snap off. And like, I'm a little bit nervous that somebody's gonna get sassy and be like, oh really? Because when I tell them to just touch everything. Or like, and later in the evening, I'll get people who think they're really witty, and they'll like lean over like they're gonna touch me, and it's like, whoa, there, buddy, I'm not for sale.
I get that too. Most of the time, though, like I would say 99.9% of people.
The one caveat is that she and I work with wire cages, those mesh wire. Everyone knows what those look like.
Those, like, do the cons provide them? Or
No.
do you just have to bring it
You
yourself?
gotta buy your own, and I'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But we have people who think it's funny to threaten to rattle them, and when I had less stuff on my display, I did have people rattle them, and fortunately they didn't fall. But if you rattle those things enough, you can shake them loose, and that's a hazard to those people as well as to yourself. So if you see them grabbing for your cages, tell them no, bad. Squirt them in the face with a water bottle.
And oh gosh, we're getting so off topic. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
we're
okay.
doing on time though.
What's the next question?
And we also, you missed some of the
10:39.
stuff on
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, wait, you just missed 2 slides. There we go,
Okay.
sorry.
The other thing I'd say is the last one, be prepared to change what you're offering. I've had shows where some things just don't move at all, and some things, don't text me, and some things, this is my brother, he's in Florida, so he keeps sending me photos. But some things, are selling out. So I put a bigger space for the stuff that's selling out. More people can see that. The stuff that's not selling, I'll take it off my table.
Also, bringing a lot of things, and this may not be in your horizons, but I'm an idiot, and I've flown to some cons, especially like I've done Mocha Fest in New York, which is a big indie con. I've done SPX in the Bethesda, DC, Virginia area, and I had to fly to that. When you fly, unless you're flying Southwest, you're paying for your bags, and that's something to keep in mind. And if you're flying, you really can't take your wire cages either.
They're heavy.
Yeah.
And you probably want to have something that's free on your table. People come up all, what's free? Have business cards.
MTAC is amazing about that not happening, but Otakon, the guide that people were given encouraged people going into that artist alley to ask artists what they have for free. Yeah, for real. Well, your business card, if you plan on visiting my site at some point. And then you'll also, like, my business cards, my actual professional business cards have had 5 different images, and now they have 20 different images. And that's great when I'm dealing with people who want a more detailed commission, or they want comics or something like that. It's terrible at anime cons because I'll literally have people take one of each. Oh, I'm gonna totally give it to my friends. But then I watch my Tumblr, 0 additional followers because they left the cards in the bottom of their bag. The cards I have at my table now are like Tumblr specific. It's got my social, so my Twitter, my Tumblr, maybe my Facebook with just like a single image.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you always want to have yourself online. We've actually had people on the How to Be a Con Artist ask us, you know, is it okay to go to a con if I don't have an online following? It's
I would not say she or I are online popular by any stretch of what one sees when one, like, I will be straight with you guys. Sometimes when I post art, it gets like 2 notes. It could be like my grandmother favoriting it, and that's it. But I do really well at cons because there's something about having this physical tactile image or physical something in front of people that means so much more than just some image on the internet. But that doesn't mean I don't post those images on the internet because, like, for example, I've been utilizing the MTAC tag to promote my table in the artist alley, and I've gotten a lot of people who don't follow me, but they were checking the MTAC tag while they were in registration, and they decided to come by and buy some stuff. And bless you.
And I'll get a lot of people that show up and be like, yeah, I saw that, you know, Becca said that you guys were going to be at this con, or, you know, I saw your post on Tumblr, and I thought I'd stop by. So it's a circle. Is the more you promote yourself online, and the more you promote yourself at a convention, kind of the more popular you'll be at the other one.
You also should encourage people to interact and engage with you and mean it, because that's going to actually form relationships rather than this kind of parasitic relationship where you expect people to constantly buy from you and take care of you.
But you probably, or I should say, you definitely want to have something online for whether it's a DeviantArt, a Tumblr, a website, something.
Well, what if you're not really online much? Because I've pretty much given up the internet.
Are there any sites that you still use regularly?
Archives of Our Own is about it. I haven't been on Facebook really since like November.
To me, Facebook is
And I don't know how to do Tumblr or Twitter or any of that stuff.
It would be beneficial if you, are you like a writing artist or a 2D artist or a plush artist or?
I do like button jewelry.
Button jewelry?
Not button jewelry.
DeviantArt.
Bottle caps.
Well, DeviantArt is kind of like a gloss. Right, okay.
That's like MySpace.
At the least, you should have a something, a store, maybe an Etsy, where you can point people to. I don't do Etsy just because like there's a million other people who do exactly what I do on Etsy, and I don't have the energy to do Tumblr, to do Twitter, to do Facebook, and do Etsy. But if you're just focusing, you'll probably do a lot better with the Etsy. But you should have something you feel comfortable updating regularly to point people to your work. I definitely do feel that way.
And it's mostly to keep yourself in the minds of whoever, you know, you're giving your cards to, like, oh yeah, I like this artist, and here they are on my Tumblr feed. Oh yeah, you know, I'll reblog this. More people see them. It's you know, not just because. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't had caffeine yet. She has.
It hasn't kicked in yet. Wait, you're skipping. I'm sorry.
That's good.
For real though, the last point, Google yourself. That is super important. The reason I go by Nattosoup, and like, please don't call me that. Like, my name is Becca. Hi, I'm Becca. But like, there's another Becca Hillburn, and she's like 20 years older than me, and she lives up north, and she's divorced, and I don't want her kind of trashy hijinks associated with me, because like, I haven't done those things. But Nattosoup only brings up me. You Google Nattosoup, you're gonna find the blog where I review art supplies. You're gonna find my Tumblr, you're going to find my Twitter, you're going to find a way to contact me and to be able to engage with me. And it's also possibly more memorable because it's such a silly name than my given name.
If you Google Heidi Black, you come up with me first, but then apparently someone else who sells, someone else who sells houses.
Yeah, right.
That's the one thing. Alright, so yeah, there's just our websites. I actually changed mine recently, so it doesn't look like that anymore. But it's something for people to land on. It's if you Google Nattosoup, every result on page 1 is her. The first one for me is because I've changed which name I've used. I've gone my Tumblr's Heidi Black, but my website's Electricabyss. So.
And see, I will be real with you guys. I've been Nattosoup since I was 16. That means I had to take down my whiny, poetry-written high school life journal because it was pretty shameful. And like they say that things don't disappear from the internet, and they don't. If somebody really wanted to, they could probably access that. Sorry, it's awful. Prepare for awful literature. But I have done enough work on my other pages and made them relevant enough that it's not what you see first. So someone who's not familiar with me, not familiar with my work, they're going to see what I want them to see about me before they're going to see my embarrassing life.
Alright. Now that we have stuff to sell, we're going to cover different types of conventions. I'm sorry if this is like going all different places. But different types of conventions. You guys are obviously pretty familiar with anime cons. I think this is a shot from Otakon, which is freaking huge.
The year we both went together, so what, 2012? And that isn't a mixed alley. That isn't vendors and artists. That's all artists.
No, that's vendors.
Is it vendors? God dang it! I have pictures of the artists and it looks just like that though, and it's just as big.
So anime cons, generally anime cons are a mixed audience, a younger audience. So you get a
More
lot of
female friendly.
Yeah, you
more trans people friendly. So if you're a terrible person and you can't be nice to people, you maybe shouldn't do anime cons. No, for real.
I always say, no, I hate anime cons. I don't.
We would not be doing this if we didn't love it, but we don't like some of the things that happen sometimes.
Anime cons are usually the most drama ridden. However,
not our drama.
Not our drama. However, no, anime cons have always been really good. Usually just because it is a younger and very friendly crowd.
With that said, because they are younger, oh, I'm sorry, yeah?
What if you're kind of a shy person?
I am actually really shy. Do you see this table? This is my kitty cat box. I'm a cat sitting in a box, peering out, being like, I can see on all sides, I'm cool. I am horribly shy in person. There's something about being behind the artist alley table, surrounded by your stuff, with people who are coming up to see you. For some people, it makes a difference. If that does not make a difference for you and you feel more comfortable, by all means bring a friend. It's nice just to have a friend there to keep you company. It's nice just to have a friend there to help get you food. Right.
I'm not the artist, they are. I'm just going to help carry stuff.
But you're also the support system, and that's really important.
And so you can sneak off the panels too.
That's right. my significant other is manning my table and keeping an eye on her table right now. Thank you, Josie. The caveat about anime cons, as much as we love them, is that because the audience is younger, they don't have a lot of money. You might make a lot of sales, but you're not necessarily going to make a lot of money depending on what you sell and who you sell to. You also will get some fantastically supportive parents who are amazing people. You will also get some parents who want to use you as an example of why, to their kid, of why they shouldn't go into art. And that's happened more times than I'd like to recount. And it's like, it's gotten to the point where I've gotten really good at shutting them down, or I'll tell them I'm willing to talk to them about it, but I have a tip jar, hint, 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 hint. You know, like if you want me to spend the time to talk to your kid frankly about my career, that's going to be 20 minutes. That's commissions I'm not doing. And that usually shuts them down too, because they're just looking for a morality story to scare their kid. But I really, really like the crowd at anime cons in general. They're way more receptive to my work. They're more receptive to the art style. Like, look, when I was 13, that's when manga had its first boom in the US. That's like the Tokyo Pop revolution, which has since kind of burned the American manga industry.
Tokyo Pop, gone.
They're trying to make it come back.
In Europe, they're okay. In here, not so much.
You also had a question, sorry.
Oh, it was kind of like the same thing. Like, I'm an artist as well, like graduating next December in college.
Congrats!
Hoping to go for animation, but I've been so like shut down by my professors because they're all fine arts.
Right? No,
So
I
it's
feel you.
like-
I come from the same kind of background.
Yeah.
My undergrad, they didn't even consider comics worth my time. It was constantly like, why don't you do fine art? But there's like no money in fine art.
Yeah, there's like that one person that gets your stuff. And
Yeah.
that you can't do the whole blue line on canvas and sell it for $20 billion. So, yeah, like that's kind of how I'm feeling like right now because for my senior show that I have to do, I'm planning on doing costumes because that is something that I've gotten really good at.
And
Not
you
so
feel
much this
confident.
convention because I just finished it in the hotel room, but. But yeah, like that's something I've gotten more comfortable with, and I'm trying to explain to people that this is an art form.
It is.
Just because it's like you're taking someone else's idea and creating it in a
That's
3D
costume
universe.
design,
It's
though.
Costume design, yeah. So I don't know. It's like it's one of those things that I feel like I've been so hurt by that
Right.
I can't explain it to other people.
Right. No, even the kind of comics I do when I was at SCAD, I got a lot of my classmates were really like nasty to me. So I'm very tender as well, and it is hard, and sometimes I have to like put on an act and act more confident and excited than I really feel because like you can ask for their cons where I pretty much had an anxiety attack before the convention because I had a bad experience prior, but I think you'll find, at least with the anime audience, the people are really welcoming and big-hearted, and for the most part, they're very kind. What I would recommend is, since you're considering doing, focusing on costuming, is maybe sharing a table with like a 2D artist and offering smaller props or smaller cosplay accessories or like geeky accessories and seeing how that goes, rather than jumping in full force. And since you guys would be offering very different things, you could actually help each other out. You had a question, I'm sorry?
Oh, well, more of a comment, because I had a very similar experience to her. I was at MTSU, and I was stuck in limbo between graphic design and fine arts, and was never able to finish my degree. So for any of the young folks out there, consider this in your schooling. It may be worth the money to not go to university, but look at something like Watkins College of Art and Design or one of the art institutes or something like that, and look for a program that fits your skill set and passions rather than trying to pigeonhole yourself into a school that will not.
That will beat you down to try to make you what they want you to be, rather than encourage you or teach you.
And I mean, there is something to be said about getting out of your comfort zone and learning different stuff and whatnot, you know. And I guess one other thing, man, you know, for those of you that are illustrators that draw from life and then develop your style based off of that, as opposed to just purely a cartoon style.
I'm gonna be a terrible person. You need to go. Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry. Real moment.
Yeah. I'll just go over real fast the other kind of cons. Superhero cons. This is New York Comic Con.
It was huge, like scary huge.
Superhero cons are generally going to be, and this isn't true all the time, but they're generally going to be an older male audience. For girls like us, it's usually not a good sell. People just aren't looking
And
for...
people will try to talk you into it by saying, well, Sunday is family day. But in my experience, and granted that only goes so far, a lot of the older fans who are looking to get their kids into fandom, they're not looking to find something that suits their kids. They want their kids to be exactly like them.
Yeah.
So if they're into Marvel, they want their kids into Marvel. Nothing else will do. It doesn't matter what the kids will like. And that, I'm sure people have had other experiences, and hopefully that will change for me in the future. I'm just sharing what my experiences have been. So like, if you do decide to try a superhero con, don't let that beat you down. And we got 10 minutes, sorry.
I will say I did Gem City Comic Con last weekend in Dayton, and it's a superhero con, but it's actually just a family con. So it's not always true. Sometimes it is, you know, more family friendly. Indie cons, those are usually for like comics if you do that kind of stuff.
They can be a hard sell if you have a manga style on the East Coast because there's still negative conceptions. We did We did 8 on the West Coast, so they are much more manga friendly over there. So that might be worth checking out.
And then there's other kinds of cons.
I've done furry cons.
I know that furry cons are usually very loyal to their artists and very good to them.
To their artists. If you are a dabbler, like I was a dabbler, they were very polite to me, but they would not give me any of their money because they'd rather spend it on the artist they see year after year, which is understandable. That is a close-knit community that relies on trust, and I was intruding.
Yeah, you've got to be in that furry fandom. Doing different cons can expand your audience, or it can just be terrible. So I would say stick to what you love at first. If you want to venture out into other cons, find a local and a cheap one. Or
go with friends.
Yeah, share transportation.
A friend who lives in the
hotel.
area is willing to put you up. Someone who's looking to share their tables.
Speaking of sharing tables and stuff like that, we almost always do conventions together. And you always want to, you want to have someone that you're sharing a hotel with, at least, because that cuts the cost. At least in half, if not in 2 quarters. You want to have someone that you can drive with, because that cuts down gas costs. Food costs, you can be like, oh, we'll just eat our individual meals, or you can go somewhere where you can have, you know, like a
family style.
Yeah, and that cuts down, or
like us, where we'll feed into each other. We just sort of like, oh, but it was such a hard con. Let's go get fondue. Oh, life is so hard. Let's go to Jerry's Art of Ramen and buy art supplies together.
we're terrible. But it also means like if you've got like a hotel with a mini fridge that you can, you know, put leftovers in there. I will say this about hotels. Fancier hotels are great. They will charge you for everything.
They're also business hotels,
Yeah.
so that's why, and they don't necessarily have many fridges or microwaves in their room. Budget chains do tend to, but then like the rooms are really damp, and I always end up getting a migraine because there's mold in the AC. So if that's a problem, avoid those.
Yeah. Table setups, I'll do this real quick because you can actually just come to the
Artist Alley and see some good
art.
examples.
So,
or there are other ones in the Artist Alley that are really good
Yeah.
too, to be fair.
So it's changed, like you can use the PVC pipe. I used to do that, now I use the wire cubes.
These are some of our earlier setups,
Yeah.
by the way.
But-
This is a very table-focused setup, but with the banner up top. So it is kind of like a complete visual package if you're coming to it from across the room.
And so, I mean, there's something
This setup
standing
is
up.
very table-centric because at the time I didn't have a banner, but I tried to have elements that were up and eye-catching. What I really needed was something that was eye-level to a standing person.
And then this is more common.
This was
to
an example of a shared table for us. The problem was, even though we tried to differentiate our halves, people thought we were the same person.
And then now this is a little closer to what it looks like. It's definitely something that's standing up. It's got stuff on the side, so you can, that's what MTAC last year. So you can see what's going on from kind of a distance.
Heidi utilizes her cubes to be more like a gallery wall, so you can see her art at eye level.
Yeah, and there's, that was, what, Hamacon?
Hamacon, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about doing a table, you want to have something that stands upright. Just having stuff on a table is not going to attract attention from very far away.
If you are a 2D artist who wants to do commissions, a portfolio is extremely recommended. And be willing to draw examples the whole time you're there to generate sales.
Yeah. I see you making a sign. It's probably a 5-minute sign.
It's go time?
Yeah.
5 minutes? All right.
Okay. And
if you guys want to, you can also come and collect cards if you want, and we're going to keep hammering at you for our 5 minutes. Just be careful of the camera.
And I'm sorry that we got a late start. I wish we didn't, but we will be in the Artist Alley. We're also going to be doing sales though, so if you want to sit and talk to us for like 2 hours, we might be like, just check out something. Yes. We will be willing to like field questions though.
Yeah.
Just a couple rules when doing conventions. It's don't know your neighbors. Think about how much time it's going to take to tear down and set up your stuff. If there's like a 3-hour setup, you might want to rethink it.
Well, or if the con offers setup the night before, take advantage of it. That was great. Thank you, MTAC, this year.
Yeah. You probably want to have like a cookie sip theme. I always use like a red tablecloth with a red banner and like glitter and sparkly gold and red steins. Becca always has like a cute picnic-y green table with
focus on the tiny things.
Yeah. And that does help. It definitely makes your table cute. You definitely also want to think about how am I getting everything onto the table. If your display is interfering with actually putting your product out, maybe that display needs to go. visible, readable price signs. No one reads them anyway, but have them.
No, they're reading the Kara mini sign. So if you can make your signs engaging and attractive and eye-catching, they're way more likely to read your sign. But if you just have like a sign with your prices listed, no one is going to read that. Let's be honest, you wouldn't either. And I used to do sticky notes because my prices would fluctuate sometimes. Not anymore.
That's just setting up, so that's generally what it looks like. When you go, you probably,
Sorry, did you guys book this panel for an hour and a half?
I thought it was an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, then you're good. Ignore me for the signs.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's wrong.
Okay.
You guys have.
Probably half hour then.
Yeah, you've got 30 more minutes.
Oh, awesome. Well,
We'll keep
breeze
talking
through
as
this
you
so we
go.
can let you guys ask questions if you have them.
When you go beyond actually bringing whatever you're going to sell, you're going to want to bring a tablecloth.
And that could just be 3 yards of fabric, solid color from Walmart, from Joann's, from Hobby Lobby, anywhere that sells fabric. Nothing that's too distracting from what you're trying to sell.
I've had conventions that literally is a wooden table has chunks taken out of it.
Yeah, you want to hide that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year's MTAC table, MTAC got kind of shafted, and they had like these weird like half buffet tables with like, and they were wooden and they had like chunks taken out of it, and it was just like, oh, gotta cover this.
Yeah. So never assume that the hotel or the convention is going to provide tablecloths. Bring your own. Signs and prices. We talked about that a little bit. A cash box. My warning about cash boxes is if people see a cash box, and I'm not going to say everyone's going to be like, oh, just steal this cash box. But they do become a target.
Well, like, the problem with cash boxes is people assume they're safe because they have a lock. That lock is the same lock my diary had when I was 5, and my mom was able to break into that with a bobby pin. One of our friends accidentally locked his migraine medication in his cash box, and Heidi was able to open the cash box by pushing the hinge out. They are not a safe option. Do not leave it. I mean, you can have one. It's great for when you're there, but keep it with you at all times. Don't assume it's going to keep your stuff safe. What I like to use are coupon books, so I can have my and I carry it with me at all times. And when I go home for the evening, I unload the excess cash. And I have it divided. I have 2 sections for ones because that's what people always want to pay with. 5s, 10s, and 20s. Yeah.
And that's really a really good way to do it. Have it somewhere where it is visible for you at all times,
no one else,
but not to everybody else.
What some people do is they have like a bag of just like con essentials, and you just tuck it in there.
But it's definitely easier than having to go, here's my wall, let's shuffle through, this massive cash.
I had a friend at Mocha Fest who thought I was gonna make change for him. Like, no. So make sure you have your own change. What I personally recommend, and it varies on what you're selling, I sell a lot of small cheap things. I have like 51s in change at all times. I have 10 5s, I have 5 10s, I have 4 20s.
At the same time, I brought 105 this convention. I'm down to 2, so it varies. How much you think. Oh, I bring 100 and change, it'll be fine. Sometimes it is. Tape. You will need tape. I promise you will need tape.
Painters, and scissors.
Yeah, like the Painter's Blue tape is fantastic because it's
low tack. It's not going to ruin your stuff.
It's not going to ruin whatever you put it on. But it usually stays pretty well. Sharpies and pens. Obviously, you need something to write with. If you forgot your signs or need to make a sticky note.
Zip ties, if you're using a wire cube display, because it secures it, it makes it not as fragile, and you can zip tie your top row just for added stability.
Yeah. By the way, those wire cubes, you can usually get them
at back to school time. So late July, August, you can get them at Target and Walmart. You can get them anytime on Amazon. And at the end of the school year, you can usually find them on Craigslist when college kids are trying to unload their dorm stuff.
But we also have on our the How to Be a Con Artist, one of the tags on the, actually we changed it, it's on the left side now, actually just says top posts and resources. So a lot of that's going to be, here's where to get stuff. So then display holders, we use little plate holders we got at Joann's to
several years ago.
To prop
mine are all broken.
Right.
They still work. Go to Goodwill, Salvation Army, pick up easels, plate stands there.
Yard sales.
Yard sales, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Dollar Tree. I even did a post on your first Artist Alley table for under $30, and I went to Dollar Tree and I picked up all of the basic essentials. Dollar Tree is a really great resource if you want to get started cheaply.
Yeah. You'll probably also want to bring medicine for headaches, allergies, upset tummies. We have had all of these at shows. I have also had the flu at a show, so that was not fun. We both use rolling suitcases to transport our stuff. I've seen people use like dollies. I've seen people use like carts, not like shopping carts, but like the ones you can buy, like the big
Utility
ones, I
carts.
guess. Yeah. Just something, because carrying this stuff is heavy. You want something to roll it in, probably. Sticky notes to change your prices, or
Not
to put
just
signs
that,
up.
like I am always writing stuff down for people. Where'd you get your blue lead? Let me write that down for you. What manga do you like? Let me write that down for you.
Put it on the card. Just put it on the card.
I really ought to. I need to get JetPins needs to like give me
I
a
actually was saying that
commission
yesterday.
because
They
I
need to
love
send
them
us cards.
so much. And I need to ask them for cards. I think they might, since we talk about them so much.
Calculator or phone. Phone's definitely, especially if you've got data, so you can look up reference for people who are like, I want this character and this character. I'm like, I have no idea what show that is.
But I got a smartphone and I can look it up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you discover a whole new interest that way.
Probably you also want to bring like a battery pack or an external charger of some kind. You can get them, actually you can get them at travel stops, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them at